welcome back to the Bayside Fabrication YouTube channel. I hope you had a great Christmas, and on today's video we're going to build an engine mount and get this engine in place, bolted in the car, and ready to go.
All right, let's get this final fitment in here. All right, so what I'm doing now is I just took a piece of 3/16 aluminum, and that's gonna be the shim. So I want to maintain a 3/16 gap at a minimum on the cross member. That way it gives the engine room to move around, because I am gonna keep the stock mounts, I believe, for now. They're a little soft, so the engine will kind of rock and move around. So I'm going to leave that in there, and now we're going to go and just lower it. The weight is mostly off the jack, and it's essentially being supported by that cross member. So now that we have our 3/16 shim on the bottom, we have our another 3/16 shim here, and we're just going to kind of take a measurement using this to see what kind of gap we have. And look at that. 3/16 on the top too, or 5mm for our rest of the world friends. So yeah, now we have a 5mm gap top and bottom, which is perfect. And let's just check from inside the car here. Everything looks good and everything's cleared. So we're in a really good position now. So now that we have our height taken care of, now we want to put a level on the bottom of the oil pan and reference that to the bottom of the car and make sure the motor is level in the car, and then we'll make sure it's centered in the car. Now, I know it's bolted obviously to the transaxle, but the transaxle is just held on by that front mount there, and that mount is very flexible. I mean, there's a lot of wiggle room in that, and the whole assembly can actually kind of twist and stuff on that mount because it is so soft. So with that being said, we have to make sure that, you know, that is square in the car and it's not, you know, twisted one way or another, and you know, those sort of things. So at this point, we're going to do that. Okay guys, now we're at the stage of the game where we got to figure out how to mount this motor in. Now it's just resting on the cross member with our spacer, and it's bolted up to the transaxle. But as you can see, you know, there's a ton of play in this thing still. So with that being said, this is the factory motor plate for the M96 motor, and it ties into, I'll show you real quick, these mounts here, which are right here. So this is the stock M96 mount for that motor plate that I just showed you. So I'm going to see if we can reuse that motor plate and see if we can bolt it to our block here and essentially just make our own motor mount with that motor plate. As you can see right here, we are contacting, so this factory plate is not gonna work. So we're just gonna have to make our own, which is no big deal. So let's come up with a good plan here on how to do that. Hey guys, check it out. So these are going to be our mounts to go up in the studs. Well, actually, here's one right here. So these are going to sit just like that, and then we can weld our tube to there. So the first step is going to be take off the factory mount here. We're going to be using this as a template for a plate we're going to make. All right, so before we go any further, we need to get this engine leveled. So what I'm going to do is I have my little angle finder here, and what I'm going to do is, this is aluminum, so it's not holding, but what we're going to do is zero it off the car. Now we're level. Then we're simply going to pop it right onto the oil pan, and you can see I can rock the whole engine back and forth. So what I'm going to do is start shimming it, getting this sucker level. So like I said, we still have our shim in place where we need it. So now we are perfectly level to the oil pan. So now that's the final this way of the motor. Now we got to make sure side to side it's good. Okay guys, well, now the motor is sitting in here perfectly square. What I did was I measured from this hole right here in the chassis right next to the suspension. There's an identical one on this side here, and I just measured to the center fin of the transaxle here. So we have both, it's both measured out to be 12 1/4 of an inch, or 31 millimeters, to the center right here of the drain plug and the center fin, which goes along the whole transaxle. You can't really measure off of this transaxle like from one side to the other side, because it's not equal. The case is different, wider on this side than it is that. So we just go right off the center line and we're good there. And now it's all level as well this way. And we are bumped up. Now, one thing I did do was I did raise the bottom 3/16 of an inch more. That way, these rubber mounts, when we put the weight of the motor on it, it will naturally want to sink. So I'm hoping it will sink down to that original height we had and not more. That's all. My only concern is that it will actually settle a little more and get too close to the cross member there, but we'll see. But this is how it finally sits in here. Okay, so the next step now is to make a cross member from this motor mount to this motor mount. So I have a piece of 1¼ DOM, and I notched both sides here. But the problem is it wants to hit the pulleys here. So we're gonna need to bend this just slightly to kick it out. So what I have here, I just picked this up last week. It's actually really nice. It's a little digital ruler here that has an angle finder on it. So what I did was, we're just looking straight up now. I just took this, put it on the center of the bolt on our motor mount, and then lined it up to like just kind of eyeball aligned it to get the clearance for the cross member. And it works out to be 9 inches. It works out to be 9 degrees. So we're gonna bend a 9-degree bend right off the ends of this tube. And that should give us enough bow out and clearance to clear all the pulleys on the front of the motor. Well, in this case, it's the back of the motor, but you guys know what I mean. Our bar tacked in place now, and what I have here is a 90-degree bend. So what I'm going to simply do is just bend a 90 here, and then we'll just make a plate for our 4 mounting points here and tack this 90. Obviously it's gonna have the tubes extended. Tack it down to that tube, so we'll make a nice triangulated piece that's lightweight, and then we will connect via a small short tube here to this main this plate here, which will be one of the main braces for the motor here. So that's what I'm going to do now. So here's our final product. Just a very simple plate here. Now it's time to get our brace. We need to cut it down a little bit. It's a little too high, which is, I made it a little high on purpose. So we're going to shave it down a little bit and then just connect this to that. We are all ready to tack up. So you can see we just have everything in place, cleaned up. We're going to throw some TIG tacks on this. See it down here. It's all cleaned up and notched and everything's looking good. So we're gonna just tack it all into place for now. So here's our engine mount as of right now. Nice little tubular deal. It's gonna be strong. We got our mount all welded up and looking good. Now I jacked the motor up just a little bit with the floor jack, pulled out our shims, and now this is the moment where we hope it doesn't sag sag that much and have a problem. Okay, moment of truth. We're gonna let the jack out. We have a Honda K series officially mounted it in the 911. Let's check our gap in the bottom. Oh yeah, we're good. That's perfect. That worked out exactly like I wanted it to, and I'm glad I did that. So it actually dropped, it appears just by the eyeball, that 3/16 we talked about. So there's a nice little gap there. We got our gap up top, and now, I mean, this thing's mounted in the car. This is sick. I'm fired up. So I'm gonna triple check my measurements. Not like it really matters, but I'm gonna triple check the measurements to make sure the transaxle didn't move or anything. I mean, it really can't because it didn't go anywhere. So it just lowered a little bit. So I think we're good. Okay, I have the motor lowered back down just a little bit. We're gonna put our engine brace in, but I'm gonna pop the intake manifold back on because now I'm looking at it, it looks a little tight up here. I think I got a little ahead of myself and all excited, but I'm gonna pop it on now and hopefully it's gonna clear my cutout. If not, I might have to trim a little bit more on that side, but I'm really hoping I don't. So guys, I thought I had plenty of clearance, but the way the motor is tilted, it winds up hitting. I thought I gave myself plenty of room. Definitely jumped the gun. It's not really a big deal. All I have to do is trim some more, so I'm not really gonna worry about it now. Well, you guys can see I beefed up this mount a little bit. I'm kind of at the point where I'm not sure if I even need another mount. So this style, you know, held up the factory motor in this position with a motor that was gonna be probably 200 pounds more than this. And with these three here, is really just supporting the motor up and holding it from spinning, really. So I don't know if I need another mount. I feel like I do. I feel like I should have something else triangulated in, but I'm not sure that I do. The fact of the matter is you'd have to pull these bolts out of the block, which isn't gonna happen, for it to fail, or, you know, all the weight of it will crack one of the welds or something right here. I mean, that's the only thing I could see going wrong with this. But with all that being said, I mean, to break this, the force that would be required is out of control. You know, and with all that being said, this is gonna be a high horsepower engine, so I'm kind of like on the fence of what I should do here. If I should just add more or just leave it as it is and see how it goes. I did go back and build this, which I want to show you right now. So it's just tacked into place, but I built this extra motor mount here just to give me kind of peace of mind. It was just one of those things where I was kind of ho-humming about it, and it certainly doesn't hurt just to have an extra mount on here. Here's the final rendition of the motor mount. As you can see, it came out pretty good. I just, like we were just discussing, I added this mount here to the side of the block, the exhaust side, and hopefully that'll just give it a little something extra. I can gusset it here if I feel the need, but I'm not sure if that's even necessary. I think it's a little overkill. But that's what we're wound up with. Now the only disadvantage is to install this and to take it off, I just have to pop out these motor mounts. You know, here you can see the stock motor mount here. And I have to do that because of the fact that there's this lip on the block right here, so it can't drop straight down unless those motor mounts are pulled. So that's the only disadvantage to that, but how often I'm gonna be pulling this motor, it's really not gonna matter. So I also may be thinking is this could kind of double as a turbo mount too. So the turbo is heavy and big, and I want to have it as low as possible in the engine bay here. That way the weight is as low as we can possibly get it without compromising oil flow, oil drain and stuff like that. So kind of my thoughts for now, but that's I'm happy with that, and I'm happy that I did that because it just gives me a little more peace of mind than having the entire engine hinge on this little mount right here, you know.
Thank you so much for watching the Bayside Fabrication YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe if you want to see this car get hot rodded and take it to the next level with this K-Series in it. On the next video, we are going to make our custom sheet metal engine cover for the inside of the car, and then we're going to start hot rodding this K-Series. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you so much.